Welcome. Today we're going to talk about a general introduction to spreadsheets. First thing that we need to look at on a spreadsheet is rows. So over here we have a row that of course should make sense to you, and I clicked on row 4 and you see all of row 4 is highlighted. The next thing that we need to look at would be columns. So, for example, if I click on this, well, I've just highlighted column C. Now we'll talk about how we reference cells. So I'm just going to click on a random cell here, and how do I know what cell that is? Well, each cell has a name, and we name cells by their column and then the row. So, for example, this cell is cell C7. You can see C is a different color up here, and 7 is this bluish color as well. So the intersection of any column with any row is where the cell is located, and that's the name of the cell. Next, we want to talk about other things about a spreadsheet. Spreadsheet is sort of, it's a good name, but really what we're working with is a workspace. This is a spreadsheet within the workspace we are working. You can see all the way down here, we have something called Sheet 1. Well, that's just one sheet within the workspace. I can add additional sheets by just clicking on this plus sign over here, and now I have Sheet 1 and Sheet 2. And to show you that they're actually different, I'll type something in into cell A1 on sheet 1, and now I'll move to sheet 2, and you can see that it's not there because when I typed it in, I only typed it in one sheet within the workspace. Don't get too hung up on that. It's just something. We will use multiple sheets within a spreadsheet workspace. So let's stick with sheet 1 for now. And within Google Sheets, we name them up here. This is spreadsheet for video 1. I might change that later, but that's what it is for now. You can change it just by getting rid of what's there and then retyping whatever you want and just call the workspace whatever you want. So let's talk a little bit more about just general things about a spreadsheet. Within each cell, you can type whatever you want. So I'm going to type in some names. Let's see. Sam Smith, Mary Conrad, Victor Hugo, Carlos Gonzalez. Well, I kind of spelled that wrong, unless that's the spelling of this Carlos. Okay, so I just typed in a few names. You can type in whatever you want. Let's talk about formatting things in your spreadsheet. A lot of it is pretty intuitive. So as you can see, Carlos Gonzalez's name is too long to fit in the entire cell. You can change the size of the entire column by putting your mouse over the border of the column where the actual letter is. So when you do that, and then you get this sort of two-directional arrow, you click down and then you could expand it, or you could shrink it. And now it's way too small, so I'm just going to make it a little bit longer than Carlos's name here, because I might have names that are even longer. So I'm going to even make it a little longer. There we go. Next, you could input all different types of information. So I'm going to put in ages of these people. We'll say Sam is 25, Mary is 32, Victor is 18, and Carlos 29. Okay, so there, I just put in ages. But how do I know what those numbers represent? Well, we can make column labels that represent that. You could also do row labels, but for right now we'll do column labels. I didn't leave a row to do that. So if I want to include a row above, if I want to add a row above, I will right mouse click on the row, and then it says insert one row above. You could also do one below, obviously, but I'm going to just do insert one row above. And there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is type in what this data represents as a column header. So name. And over here, I'm going to put age. So now we know what each thing represents. So let's say I want to do something like find the mean average of their ages. So I hope by now you know how to find the average age, or more specifically, the mean average age of something, or just the mean average. What you would do is you would add up all of the data values and then divide by the number of data values that we have. So just to show you how a spreadsheet works, I'm going to take you through a few different ways of doing this. First, whenever you want to type in a function that will do stuff on a spreadsheet, and when I say stuff, I mean mathematical stuff, put in a function or whatever, you first start with an equal sign. Now in Google Sheets, it gives you a recommendation. I'm not going to use that right now. I'm going to take you through a long way of doing stuff and then show you how powerful spreadsheets are by showing you some built-in functions. So let's say I want to just add all of these things. Add, I'm going to type in directly B2. If you see here, that's the first age that I have. I'm going to use the plus symbol. I'm going to type in B3 plus, I'm going to type in B4, and I'm going to type in plus B5. Now that will give me the sum when I add all of those things up, and I'm going to press enter, and it gives me 104. Okay, well, that's 104, but that's the sum of all of them. That's not the average. So I can do this by saying in the cell below here, equals, I'm going to just click on the cell. This is a little shortcut. So I'm going to click on the cell that I want to use, and it will automatically give me the cell reference for that. And then I'm going to say divided by 4, because we have 4 data values. And that gives me the mean average. That's a very long way of doing this. We do have much shorter methods. So let me give you another method of doing that. I'm going to get rid of all of this. There's a built-in function in all spreadsheets called sum. So I'm going to first type in equals. Remember, always type in equals when you want to do stuff mathematically. So it will equal, and then it gives me that recommendation there, sum. I'm going to open parenthesis, and it already gives me the cell references, but I'm going to just, for good measure, show you the way of doing this. I'm going to click on the first cell, and I'm going to hold the mouse button down and go to the last cell that I want to sum, and it gives me cell reference B2 through B5. I'm going to close the parenthesis, and right here, since I have the sum, I can just say divided by, which is the /4. That will also give me the mean average. Next, let me show you the easiest way of finding the mean average. There's a built-in function for that. We have equals, and then we have just this function, aver. When you start typing it in, it will give that to you. And it even gives you this recommendation, average B2 to B5, which is what we want. So we'll click on that, and then it automatically fills it in. Now you might ask, how do I change that if that didn't work out to be right? Like if I didn't want average, I wanted something else. You can double click on the cell, and then it'll bring this back, and you can get rid of everything. I prefer that way, but there's another way also. So let's say that's here and we want to change it. If we click on the cell and we look up here, this is our function bar. It tells me what function is in that cell. I could also change it up here if I want to. This concludes the first lesson on spreadsheets. I hope that this was helpful. Have a great day.